Hey everybody, this is Peter Charcalis. How are you today? I hope everyone had a nice holiday. So the purpose of this video is to show you guys that are just kind of thinking about getting into straight razor shaving that it's not so difficult to start off. So there's some terminology and some things that maybe you're not sure about, maybe afraid to ask. So I wanted to go over the very basics to begin with, and also to show you that you do not have to invest a lot of money to dip your toes and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. So I'm at corporate headquarters here. My lovely wife is doing some fulfillment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Actually, hold on a second, I'll show you.
Oh my God, no, please.
Yeah.
I gotta be like, what the heck?
All right, so this is corporate headquarters. We employ thousands. So Evelyn's just doing. We had a bunch of. We had introduced some new soap, so a bunch of that stuff's going out.
Still many to do.
Yeah, a lot of orders to do. So, but this is. I won't show you the right side. So this is my office. So on the right side, behind Evelyn, is my office for my real job, and then this is the shaving shop headquarters in the club. So, but we're bursting from the seams. We need to build an addition. So I want to just show you. So as I was saying, there's you hear about 5/8 versus 6/8, 7/8, and then they throw in 11/16, and then you hear something about maybe a French point or a barber's notch or a straight point. So what's the difference? So I just want to do a comparison, and then I want to tell you about what I would recommend you start with, and then talk about strops, and then that's it. So let's do this in 5 minutes or less. So here is beautiful vintage razor, 5/8. So this is a 5/8 straight point. Now you'll hear about the different types of grinds. So check this out. Here's a document about grinds. We also have a document about the different types of the different parts of a razor. So again, I was motivated by Caleb McCullough, and Caleb's a great guy. He's always willing to help, and I saw him post a diagram showing the different parts of a razor, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And I thought that I would do something similar to that on YouTube. So that's an example of a 5/8, right? So let's compare that to a 6/8. Now the 6/8, as you can see, I don't know if you can, so you can see it's a bit wider. Yeah, and it's a French point, but this is a 6/8 versus a 5/8. So a little bit wider. Another example, so moving up to a 7/8. So this is a 7/8 in comparison to a, can you see? 5/8. So 7/8 compared to a 5/8. For me, the sweet spot for me is a 6/8, 7/8. Here's another 7/8, but this is with a Spanish point. So this has a Spanish point versus something like this, which is a round point. Now this razor here is 11/16. So in between a 5/8 and a 6/8 is 11/16. And again, a comparison of the two. 11/16 versus 7/8. Yeah. So that's some of the terminology, and then you'll get into the different grinds. This is a wedge grind. I don't know if you can see that. So that's a wedge grind versus, I think J.D. Armand's was a, is it a quarter hollow, I believe. Now, let's talk about expense and how to actually get started. So there's people in two different camps. One is you can buy something like a gold dollar for $20, $30, $40. It could be honed and ready to go. So there's a lot of great guys that are doing that. And that's a great way to start and dip your toes in and get started. But then there's another group of people that say you should only begin with, you get a vintage and have it honed professionally, and you're good to go. There's actually benefits to both. So benefit of going the gold dollar route is that you get a new razor and sent to you, but the quality is not the same as a vintage. It just isn't. But it works. It works. So you can get it on the cheap and it'll work. Vintage you'll keep for years and years and years and years and years, forever. And your grandchildren will use a vintage. Your grandchildren won't use a gold dollar, but a gold dollar is cheap. Now, a vintage you can get. There's guys that sell them on the BSTs on Facebook and other places. On Reddit, they have places where you can buy, and Damn Fine Shaves, and eBay, right? So I've purchased stuff from eBay. The only thing is, when you purchase things from eBay, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get until you get it, unless it's someone that you're familiar with. So there's always a little slight risk in that. And then many times it'll say that it's honed, but maybe it isn't, or not done correctly. So you may have to send it out for honing, which will cost another $25, $30. So, but you can get a vintage for $40, $50, $100, it can go up and up and up. But you can get a vintage for $40, $50, have it honed for $25, $30, and maybe you're, $60, $75, $80 into it. Again, not a whole heck of a lot of money to start. So it really depends on what your budget is. Either way works. Let's talk about strops. So what do you do to start in the very beginning? Do you need to buy an expensive strop? Do you need to buy honing stones? No, absolutely not. I could sell you a beautiful strop for $46. 3-inch tri-strop, great. Do you need it to start? No. You could buy strops from other places. That could be a little bit less, could be a lot more. You don't need it. At some point you're going to want it. But to start, you could start with, let me show you something. I forgot where I first saw this, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It took me 5 minutes. I made it this morning. Let me show you. Let's see if I can, if this is at the right. Well, I could bend the, that's probably good enough. So I made a strop out of denim this morning and a clothes hanger. That's it. So denim and a clothes hanger, and it works. And you can learn on this. It'll absolutely work when you get a little bit more proficient and then you decide, oh, what I did, this is just a ring for a binder up at the top here. I don't know if you can catch that. So a ring from my daughter's binder, one of the binders. This is a clothes hanger that I bent this morning, and denim jeans that I no longer fit into. I got too fat. So, but it works. I used packing tape. I was in a rush job to do it this morning, so I used packing tape, but this will hold and it'll last. So you could absolutely strap on this. Absolutely. And it'll work. It'll absolutely work. Now what you can do, whoops, sorry I hit the, what you can do is, let's say you buy a strap, well, you can keep this and put Crocs on it, or diamond spray or something, which will maintain the edge, which we'll get into maybe with the next video. So you can absolutely make a homemade strap out of denim. I've traveled, let me bend this back. See if I can do this without wrecking anything. You could absolutely strap on newspaper. I traveled, I was away for 2 weeks, I forgot my straps. So I used newspaper. And all I had I had straight razors with me. That's it. I didn't travel with a DE. I used newspaper. Anyway, I went over 5 minutes, but I just want to give you an idea so what the terminology is. So you have documents attached to the video. You can take a look at that. It's not very expensive. You can go the gold dollar route, or you can go vintage, or you can do both. Not very expensive. And you'll get a shave. At least you can start. Oh, so, all right, this is going to go over 5 minutes. I want to show you something, what you can do. We'll just do one very, 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 very quick pass. I'm going to use the club brush. And I haven't used tabac in probably, I can't remember, since probably Jesus walked the earth. It's been that long. So I want to show you something. When you get started, do you have to go in, just dive in? So I did. But I recommend to some guys that are maybe having a challenge in the very beginning, and so they don't get frustrated, because there is a learning curve. And I would say give yourself 100 shaves. I think I learned that from Anthony Esposito. I think that's what he had recommended, and that makes sense to me. So what you can do in the beginning, God, this smells good. What you can do in the very beginning is just learn on your cheeks. You don't have to, the most difficult parts are the chin area and the upper lip. So keep it simple. Learn, use both. Use your DE that you're comfortable with. And what should I go with? Let's go with the JD. So the JD, this is 11/16, straight point. And this is a beautiful, beautiful razor. So all you need to do in the very beginning is maybe just do a with the grain pass, just to feel the blade, learn the angles. What happened?
Nothing.
So you have to always stretch. Stretching is important. And just go with the grain. And maybe just do the cheeks. Forget about the upper lip. You can even forget about the neck. That's a challenge for some people. But if you were going to dive in and do the neck too, stretch. That's what I do. I've got more chins in a Chinese telephone book, so I need to stretch. So, and then maybe do the rest, and do the same thing on the other side, and do the rest with a DE. And maybe the second and third pass do with the DE until you're really comfortable with this. And then you can start with, once you feel a little bit comfortable, you can go across the grain, which is, again, stretch. You can go across the grain, like that. Again, don't even bother with this area to begin with. And any touch-ups that you want to do, you can do with a DE. So that would be my recommendation to start. Now, I am by no means a professional. There's guys that are much, much better than me. But it works for me. I haven't sent out my razors to be honed in a very, very long time. So I maintain my razors. Again, I'm not a professional, but I'm good enough to maintain my own. I wouldn't offer any services for anyone else because I'm not that good. But I'm good enough, and I'm happy. So it's not so difficult, and it's not so expensive to get in. It's actually quite inexpensive. So try it out. Enjoy the ride, the journey, and feel free to message me if you have any questions. And if I can't answer it, I'll get the answers. All right? All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.